Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a wire frame and texturize it using the Whammer Deluxe. Now the Whammer Deluxe is this tool that I have right here in front of me, and I want to kind of demonstrate it to you a little bit in this video, so I'm going to be using it for a couple different styles. So let's first take a look at what's going on here. So on this side, this is the side that you cannot detach. This side that we're going to detach, I'm going to show you that in a second. But this side is the convex steel head, and this is going to be great for flattening, spreading your work hardening it, and it's going to keep that nice strike zone right in the center. So that's probably similar to something that you've seen before. Now if we flip it over on this other side, this is the flat brass head, and this is sort of going to be great if you're wanting to flatten anything or if you're doing any metal stamping. And you can see that I'm just twisting it off ever so slightly, and it comes off very easily. I'm going to set that aside. So I do have a nylon tip as well, and we're actually going to start by using that one here today, but it's going to be that same size, and this is going to be really great, and I'm going to actually show you how we're going to wrap onto here, but this is great if you're smoothing out kinks in wire, or if you're working with like a colored wire and you need it to not provide any scratches. So this is the nylon tip. Now the other two ones are a little bit more specific. So this one here, this is a dapping head, and this is going to be that really great little dimpled texture on wires that are 20 gauge and thicker, so we're going to use this one in our video here today too. And then finally I have this one, and this is a pick head. So it's going to be great if you're wanting to do some hatching. Let's say you want to do some linear hatchings because it's got that nice little straight edge there, so you can really kind of get in some X's or just some nice sort of hatching there. So again, they all just work the same way. You just unscrew this one and screw it right back on. So I'm going to start by using the nylon jaw, or excuse me, not nylon jaw, the nylon head here. I do have some nylon jaw pliers that I'm going to be using, so let's go over a couple of the other tools that I have. I'm going to be using 20 gauge wire here today. I have my steel bench block here, and this is that removable one. I have my wire rounders. I have a round nose plier, a chain nose plier, a flush cutter. Here's my nylon jaw pliers. And then I also am going to be finishing the look by using the Wubbers bail making pliers. And this is that 7mm and 9mm that we're going to be using. So let's start off here. And I want to just take off maybe about, let's say 8 inches or so of the wire. You can kind of eyeball it. Now I'm going to use my nylon jaw pliers to just kind of run it along there. And you can see that I keep it on the spool to do this. It just gives my hand something to grip on. So I just want to kind of just straighten it, get out some of those little small kinks there. Doesn't need to be too straight because we're about to bend it anyway. All right, I'm just going to clip that off and set that aside. All right, so I have my wire here, and just straighten out that side. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this not as a hammer, but a little bit more as a dowel, because it's going to be able to sort of focus that wire by bending it around. So I'm just going to come and find the center point in my wire just like that, and I'm just going to kind of bend it up and over and crisscross at the top there, just like so. Now you can see that when you push it, it kind of springs back open. So we're going to do in this video a nice little teardrop shape, but if you wanted to, you can use this exact same technique to press it a little further and go all the way around to get a rounded shape. So just like that, and now I have my teardrop shape. So I'm going to set that aside for just a moment. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to find where I want that bend to be. Let's say I want it to be a little shallower, so I'm just going to come down there together, holding my wire, and I'm just going to bend the top one straight up. This is very similar to wire wrapping a briolette, and I'm going to bend the side one, or excuse me, the back one to the side. So does that make sense? So I have the top one here, and you see that little cross point there, so it can still spring open there, so that's why we're going to do our little wrap now. And I'm going to help myself by taking where that little kind of notch is and just sort of bending that around just ever so slightly to kind of get it started for myself. And I'm going to bend it around and wrap it once, and then I'm going to kind of turn it all in my hands because 20 gauge can be a little thick, but that's what we want. I'm going to wrap it twice, bringing that wire, making sure it sits in the back there. So now I can come in with my flush cutters and trim that wire off. So now to finish this little look here, I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and I'm just going to ever so slightly just bend it back, wrap it up and over the top. Now here's another variation you can do. I'm going to do a simple wire loop just by bringing my wire across there and coming in with my flush cutters and cutting that, but you could also continue to do a wrapped wire loop if you wanted to as well. So there's lots of options here when deciding what you want this to look like for yourself. All right, so now I have my little frame there, my little teardrop, but let's see what else we can do to add something to it. Now you can absolutely start wire wrapping with this as it is, but I'm going to show you how to use the texturizing part of this hammer. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my nylon jaw. I'm going to add back on that brass. And what I want to first do is I want to flatten out that wire. Now because we have our loop, our wrap already there, I'm going to move that off to the side of my bench block and just kind of hold that with my fingers. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hammer, and I'm going to hammer around just sort of that bottom 2/3 of that. All right, so here we go, loud noise. All right, so now you can see, even on the front and the back, we have that nice sort of flat edge there, and it comes to that rounded. So you can go all the way up if you like. I like to kind of keep a little geometric kind of style happening there and really focusing on those little rounded pieces and the flat pieces. So let's say you're happy with that, and you want to maybe do a little bit more. So here's what I suggest. Let's go ahead and take off that brass flathead, and let's add on our dapping head. All right, make sure he's nice and secure in there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap going around, and it's going to give us a little bit of a hammered look. Now again, watch your fingers, and here we go, loud noise. And I'm going to flip it over and repeat. All right, so we have a nice little hammered thing happening there. Love the way it's shaping up. Very nice. All right, so one last thing I'm going to do, and this is only if you need to. I'm going to come back in with that nylon jaw pliers, and without messing up any of the hammered that I have there, I'm going to do some light taps just to sort of get it back to its original mold here. There we go. All right. So you can see that we have a really nice little textured look there onto our 20 gauge wire. Now if you do use this with a thicker wire, you can of course, you'll see it a little bit more, but I like that it's very nice and subtle there. All right, so let's say we have our frame and we want to turn it into an earring. Well, what we're going to do then is we're going to take off a little bit more wire and go ahead and give that a little straighten. There we go. Clip that off. And now we're going to use our round nose pliers here on one edge, and we're going to curl it in to make a little simple wire loop, but a simple wire loop that doesn't bend backwards, it just goes right along the edge of that wire, just like so. And then we're going to take it into our bail making pliers with the 9mm on this side, because what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up and over the top and around, creating that classic earring hook shape. Just like so. And then you can decide how long you want it to be. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clip mine just about right underneath my loop there. And in order to give it a little extra, style, I'm just going to come in with my round nose pliers. I'm going to grip it a little bit higher than I normally do and just give it a little bend backwards, just like so. Now, this is going to be really sharp going into your ear, so we want to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our wire rounder tool and just place that on the end there, and all you're going to do is just kind of twist it and keep twisting it until it softens. You'll see, and you can check this, what we're doing is we're kind of fixing any of those little burrs that might be left behind, because we don't want that to, you know, and it's not going to feel good on your ear. We don't want that to go through our ear. All right, so just a little bit more. You might have to do this for maybe a minute or so, but you can already see that it's getting a little softer and a little rounder there. I'm just going to do it a little bit more so you can see. All right, there we go. It's looking good. All right, so the last thing is we're just going to take our chain nose pliers, open that little loop that we made in the beginning, and slip on our earring. And like I said, this could be the very start of a project. You can make it much bigger. You can add some wire wraps to it. You can adjust it however you want. You can add more texture. It's just a really simple, basic design. This can also be used to create a wonderful pendant as well. So if you are trying to create maybe a set of jewelry, you can use this as a beautiful pendant frame. All right, so that is how you can use the wire elements in the 20 gauge with the Whammer to create a beautiful wire frame. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can see even more videos and tutorials by heading over to Beadaholique.com.